This video is going to lead you through the very basics of creating an orange using colored pencil. This will go over layering, shading, creating shadows, and just creating an overall value within an orange. So you're going to start off by, of course, just drawing the orange. I want you to fill a page. It should be about the size of a baseball or a softball. You're going to add the stem. And you're also going to add the leaf in there. Throughout this entire process, I want you to be looking at this picture of an orange, just so that you can see what I am seeing very clearly. The first step with colored pencil is by layering in a shadow. Our shadow is on the right-hand side of our orange. When you're layering a shadow, you always want to use the complement. A complement of orange would be blue. And you also want to use another very dark color. So we're going to be using the dark blue, that is number 301, and we're also going to be using a very dark purple, which is 313. We are going to be layering in a very, very, very light shadow on this region. This is where the darkest area of our orange is. So you can see I'm using the side of my pencil, and I'm also holding my pencil at the end. These two things will help us create a very light value. This is almost in like a crescent moon shape. That is one thin layer with my blue. Now I'm going to add another thin layer using my purple. Now this is a very, very light value. Looking at a value scale, it would be on a level 1 or a level 2. It's so much that you can probably barely see it on this video. That is the point. So this will just create a foundation. We're going to add layers from now on. So that is our shadow. Now we need to pay attention to the overall color of our orange. The orange is more of like a yellow orange. It's not, this would be too dark of an orange for it. This is 318. So we need to add a little bit of yellow in. So you are going to be finding colored pencil 316. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this all over our orange except for in the area of our highlight. Just like before, we're using the side of our pencil and I'm holding the end. What this will do is this will change the overall tone of our orange. It will make it more color match the one that we see on our screen. And this will also help when we go in with our next layer. So this is our foundation. Our foundation is complete. We have our shadow in, and we have another color in that will help us create the true tone of our orange. Our shadows were the darker colors. That was a dark blue, which is the complement of orange, and a dark purple. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to add a layer with value. So our value with like very dark pressure shading into very light pressure. We're going to go over the area that we already have. So I'm going to be going over this area. I'm using heavy pressure in the area where it is darker. I'm going to transition into lighter pressure where it is lighter, and I'm going to avoid the highlight for right now. At this point, you should be able to see the colored pencil starting to blend with one another. So we have that darker appearance where we had our blues, and the area where we had laid the yellow in is going to appear a little bit more of a yellowish tone. What we need to do now is we need to go back in and we need to add another layer of our shadow. We are not done yet. So I'm going to just use the blue. I'm going to add another very, very light shade. This is again at that same pressure that we were before. My pencil is barely touching the paper. And this is just in this dark area and right underneath. Now I'm going to go back in and I'm going to go to the rest of the area. My shadow, it feels dark enough. I'm going to go back in with my yellow And I'm going to go over the area that we did before, except with a little bit heavier pressure. This is not nearly as heavy as the darkest value would be. This is more in the middle tone area. This will help just create the appearance of our orange, make it that nice yellow orange that we see on the screen. I'm also going to go into the highlighted area just a little bit. I'm not going in the near center of it, but I'm going right around the center. Okay, now we're going to do a varnishing layer. Varnishing is where we use heavy pressure, and it's where we fill in all of these nooks and crannies that we can still see filled with colored pencil. This will help create a solid object. So I'm going over the dark area with really heavy pressure. I'm going to fade into the middle area. I'm not going to go as dark as I was there, but I'm still making sure that all of the spaces are going to be colored in. I'm going to lightly go over my area of a highlight, because the area of a highlight on an orange, it's not pure white. It still appears a little bit orange, so I'm going to add that layer in there. So I used very heavy pressure in the area where it was dark shadow, and a heavy middle tone pressure right here. My last layer right there is going to be done with the yellow. I'm going to go over this area one more time using very heavy pressure with my yellow. This will blend all of the colored pencils together. With colored pencils, I've said it before and I'll say it again, layering is one of the most important things you can do. It is easier and more beneficial to you to add more layers using lighter pressure. That'll help just blend the colored pencils together, because we can't blend them together like we would if we were using paint. My last touch is going to be grabbing my white colored pencil, and I'm going to be going over the highlight area using very heavy pressure. Okay, our orange itself is complete. So now what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at the leaf. The darker area of the leaf, we're going to block in using the blue. We're going to fill in the other area using a 309 or a 308. And then we're going to add some highlights using the 313. So just like before, I'm adding in a very light pressure in my shadow areas. This is just blocking in my shadow. I'm going to avoid my area of highlight, but I'm going to go over these areas with the green. I'm going to add in my lighter color for a highlight now. As for our stem looks green too, so we're just going to do the same thing we did there. In some areas it doesn't appear dark enough, so I'm going to go in with the purple just because it's another dark color, and add a little bit more definition to the shadow. we're going to add our shadow so it appears like it is on a table. I'm using 344. If you don't have 344, you can borrow it from a friend. I'm using this color because it's a little bit orangish, but it's still brown. And then I'm going to go and darken it up a little bit more. I'm going to add a very, very light layer of the blue because it's a dark color. And it's one that we use for the shadow and the orange. One thing you need to remember about shadows is that the edges are very fuzzed. They don't have firm shadows. There's always like a light layer, a light value around them. The last thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of orange. Because our object is orange, the shadow would have a little bit of an orange tint to it too.